I'm in tears.
Still gives me chills.
I bet he's really crying now.
Personality. Oh.
Well, welcome to episode 25, Malapert Smark Wrestling Podcast. If, for you audio podcast listeners out there, if there are any, the three of us were just watching a clip from August 20th, 2021, a shade over 2 years ago now. It's a little bit over 2 years when CM Punk made his debut in AEW, and man, still gives me chills. What a pop. It was a great moment, but it is over now. The CM Punk experiment at AEW has ended. He's been fired as of Saturday, September 2nd. We're recording today on September 8th, so that was a few days ago now. The news has been hot for about 6 days, and, it's getting a little cooler, but, we haven't talked about it yet. So we want to talk about the most important news of the week. CM Punk is gone. So let's just jump straight into it. We got Vlad, the wrestling expert. We got Robert on today. Rubber Toe W, his handle on social medias. Go at him. And so let's just jump right into it. Vlad, you go first. What was your reaction when you heard CM Punk got fired?
Well, okay, well, hold on. Let me back up a little bit. I think I kind of broke the news to you guys, or maybe not. I don't know if somebody...
you did for me, for sure.
Yeah, you did. That was the first time I heard it.
I was just kind of going through, my whatever phone stuff and just looking up stuff, and all of a sudden, I see on CM Punk fired by AEW, and I'm like, what? Is that for real? So I click on the link, whatever, I read it. Anyways, yeah, I mean, obviously it ended up being all true, but as far as my thoughts, I mean, initially surprise, and then more of acceptance and anger and all the things that you kind of do when you're in denial, right? Isn't that all the steps of denial? But you kind of accept it in the end because you kind of see the company for what it is, and you kind of expect things like this to happen. So I'm not going to go too crazy about all of that, because it was probably the best thing for all parties that they split, because it just didn't mesh well chemistry wise. They just two different there's different personalities in modern wrestling to the way Punk was brought up, and you can't bridge that gap, unfortunately. So, and there's no way to do it, So, yeah, that's it.
Obviously,
it was raucous. Let me just finish. It was raucous. It was a raucous 2 years, but it ended prematurely. Could have gone on longer, but I think at the end of it, it's for the best for both that they just split.
Well, look, they tried really hard to keep it together. They kind of went out of their way to try to keep this together. Well, let me hear Robert's. What was your first reaction to this too?
I was a little surprised. I mean, I thought the worst that was going to happen was you'd, be suspended for a while. I didn't expect him to be fired. Yeah, so my reaction was more like disappointed, because there were a lot of potential feuds that I was really excited for. A third match with MJF would have been awesome. A feud with Jay White would have been really cool, or if whether CM Punk turned heel or Adam Cole turned heel, I think a CM Punk Adam Cole feud would have been really good too. And then of course the feud with Ricky Starks never finished. So I think it's a shame. There were a lot of really great potential feuds, he could have rekindled his rivalry with Bryan Danielson. That would have been another option there, and I don't know, like late.
Making me sad, Robert. You're making me sad.
Sorry, I'm just I was thinking of all the potential that that was basically thrown away by his firing. Like, man. Oh,
yes.
Sucks.
Disappointing to say the least, because like I said, they did give it a very good chance. Like most people would have fired him last year after his outburst at All Out 2022, but they really went out of their way to like separate the rosters, give him his own show, and like it was all so much effort to just get thrown away just like that. Like, you know what, I've had enough. Let's talk about Tony Khan and how he announced the firing on Collision. Everything he said about what happened that day, we all know, we've all heard it by now, that he was scared for his life is the big buzzword, and he was scared for the safety of his coworkers. Robert, you buy any of that, or is that all just legal mumbo jumbo? What do you think?
I didn't buy any of that. I think it's mostly legal mumbo jumbo. I don't think he was really afraid of the safety or the well-being of the wrestlers backstage. Like, come on, they can handle themselves. I don't think he was really that worried about it. So I didn't buy that personally.
Yeah, well, there is a faction of people who we just don't know Tony Khan that well. He's new to us. He's not on TV that much. We don't know him personally, so it is possible that it could be true. But Vlad, what is your gut feeling? Is Tony Khan afraid for his life, or was that just a way to kind of get out of CM Punk's contract without paying him?
I mean, he's probably exaggerating it more than it needs to be just to get out of the contract and to like make it, I guess, a little bit more palatable to the fans of why it had to happen, whether people agreed with it or not. Obviously, they're making it sound like Punk had a shotgun or something and was ready to shoot up the locker room or something that he feared for his life. Sounds insane. I mean, it was a scuffle that he had with another wrestler, which has happened in almost every wrestling locker room for the past, 80, 90, 100 years, probably. So I think it's what you guys are kind of saying. It's more maybe for the legality reasons, for reasons that have to do with maybe whatever he has to pay to Punk, or maybe doesn't want to pay to Punk, and knowing that there probably will be some sort of lawsuit that will come from that. Who knows? But yeah, it's probably more.
I've heard it bantied about. I listened to Jim Cornette talk about it. This is where I heard this from, and it was like, he was a little skeptical about why he actually went out there and made this announcement himself, because it kind of just either if it was true, it made him look like a little bit of a. I don't know what's a word, a nice word to use here, but,
a scaredy cat.
A scaredy cat. Thank you, Vlad. Thank you. The PG version. He's either going to make himself look like a weak scaredy cat, or he's going to look like he's obviously trying to cover his ass and say bullshit things to get CM Punk out and get out of the contract. Because, man, we've all seen CM Punk fight for real. No one's afraid of CM Punk. So that's kind of hard to believe. But look, so let's talk about some of the ramifications of this for the company, because this was a little bit of a power struggle for the past year between some of the old guys, the older generation, who were butting heads with the younger guys, i.e. Young Bucks, Jungle Boy, guys who don't want to take advice and want to do their wrestling their way despite how it affects the rest of the show. Is that war over now since Punk is gone?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, he was the leader of the other side, right? So when you fire the leader of the other side, it pretty much is over.
So Collision will become Dynamite, basically. Since Punk is out of the way, we don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, I think so.
It's kind of like...
I think it's going to end the brand split, and everybody will just be wrestling on both shows, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. But if it's going to be just another Dynamite, it's a bad thing, But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, it ends that aspect of things, but it has bigger ramifications. I mean, CM Punk was the one of the few legit stars, marquee names in the company. And to have that be the first person that Tony Khan actually fires from this company is, ooh, man, it's a tough thing to actually take and actually believe. But it is what it is, Like I said, it is what it is.
Robert, I'm seeing you with a look on your face like you're deep in thought a little bit. Is the feud between the elite and the older generation guys, is that over? The elite win?
I don't know about over, but it has definitely tilted toward their favor, the elite's favor for sure. It's they have the upper hand at the moment. That's hard to say, but I also do agree that Collision is probably gonna be more like Dynamite from now on.
Well, good. That means we got to review Collision too. So I don't know if it's completely over. The fact that Danielson is there, is a little bit.
That's why I'm not. I was saying that I don't think it's like real. It's over.
Yeah,
but it is. It has tilted toward the elite's favor.
Yeah, but they do have Danielson over there on Collision. It looks like he's going to be having a major role now to carry the mantle that Punk was trying to carry. One more question. I had one more question. There's a theory floating around that I've heard from a few people that CM Punk did this to try to get out of his contract, get fired, so he could leave the WWE. You think there's any truth to that, Vlad? You see that being possible? Dutch Mantell said this. I heard this from Dutch, if you want me to give my
Dutch.
source.
Oh, okay. I mean, look, anything is possible. We know that he didn't get along with many people in that company, and we know that he wants to go back to the WWE because it's been proven already with AEW within the last, whatever they've been as a company since they formed, like, 4 or 5 years now, that they are a second-rate company. I'm sorry. Anybody that sees it differently, I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. They've proved it a number of different ways by staying in their indie mindset. So, with that said, yes, he probably wants to go back to WWE, and I don't know if he's going to be able to go back to WWE because I'm sure he burned some bridges there too. But it's that would be the best place for him because there's a lot of potential feuds for him there too. I think I could see him a feud with him and Cody would be amazing. Like, for example, but I mean, I don't know. Yes, but to answer your question, yes, it is possible because he hated it there so much that he maybe forced their hand. So
do you see him possibly going back to WWE? Can they mend the bridges? I'll ask Robert the same thing after you're done.
I hope so. Punk is, not an easy guy to get along with. That is the truth. I could see,
but he's a major star that they could take away, who had a fight with everybody in AEW and, was a badass guy who didn't take shit from anyone, had the title at the end, could claim to be the real world champion. So he's got value.
I believe it or not, I think, I could be wrong. I really don't know the mindset, but I think if it's up to Vince, he would do it. But I think Triple H has some more reservations. So, I just think we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think Vince is all about business, and he will, if he thinks it's going to be a star. But Triple H probably has there were some negative things that Punk said about Triple H personally. So I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, Robert, do you think there's any chance CM Punk got himself fired on purpose to try to go to WWE? And at this point, now that he's fired, do you think there's a chance he could end up in WWE?
So it's funny that Vlad mentioned Vince, because my answer to that question is Vince McMahon's theme music. I know you guys are familiar.
No chance in hell. No chance in hell.
No chance. There's no chance in hell. I really don't think so. I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, some people just say this is the end of CM Punk's wrestling career. Although I could see him go to New Japan, Although those guys are friends with AEW, so maybe they'll want to kind of keep that relationship by not touching CM Punk, but I don't know. I am sure Impact would take him, but they probably don't have more than $500 a night to give him. So I don't think he would take it.
Wow.
Okay, what was I going to say about this? So my reaction to the CM Punk firing. I feel bad for CM Punk personally. Like, it kind of sucks being a guy that has a reputation like this, and nobody wants to be around him. Doesn't that kind of imagine you were him, dude? Like literally, all the companies are like, "No, man, we'd rather just not have anything to do with you." kind of sad, man. His personality, his attitude. I don't know if I want to go so far as to call it like a disorder, because that's kind of like insulting. But he definitely has some kind of like anger management issue going on, where he can't let things go, and it gets him, his emotions too boiling to the point where he can't handle himself, and that kind of sucks, like and in addition to that, it kind of seemed to me like everyone was trying to like nudge him to do something. Like, here's another conspiracy theory I've heard. Speaking of conspiracy theories, I heard a conspiracy theory that they were trying to fuck with him so much, the Elite and, I guess Jack Perry, who's friends with them, came in together all, from that generation. I heard this theory that some of the guys were trying to screw with him to the point where he would react and try to get him fired that way. So I think that could be true. Like, why were they trying to mess with him? Like, everything was kind of like blown over from last year. Everyone was working together, but people couldn't let it go. The Young Bucks couldn't let it go. As we've seen on Collision, they were kind of like really, or on Dynamite, they were celebrating CM Punk's firing. They took a victory lap, right, around the ring is what I heard after the show. So, yeah, they never let it go. I think they had it out for Punk. I think they didn't like this direction that the company was going with Collision and people liking it. It's possible that they kind of set him up. So I think that's possible. Another thing I want to say about Punk is that possibly because of his anger issues, he needs to like kind of ease up on this straight edge thing. Like, have a drink, buddy. Calm down. Honestly, man, like, I have the same issue. I get angry sometimes. Like, I know alcohol is not good for you, and I go long stretches trying not to drink because I know it's not the best for your health and you're not productive on it and all that. But dude, after about 2 or 3 weeks of being sober, like, I'm climbing the walls. Anyone that rubs me the wrong way, like, I want to fight with them, and I gotta go have a couple drinks, and that'll like kind of settle me. Like, all right, yeah, life isn't so bad. So this is my theory about CM Punk. He's been sober so long consecutively that he's kind of gone psychotic, maybe.
That's funny.
Well, it is a theory, but what about people that also don't drink and they don't end up being a psychotic?
Hey, everybody's different. All I'm saying is that I can relate to Punk and his personality. I see similarities in myself. And sometimes when I have a drink, it kind of just makes me feel a little different. Like, all right, you know what? Maybe I should just let it go. All right, that wasn't so important. But, you got to have like something to change your mindset sometimes. Smoke a J, do something, I don't know. He just seemed like he was always on edge, always ready to fight at any drop of a dime, anybody saying anything to him. But that's my thoughts about it. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for us, obviously. As Robert mentioned, all the possible feuds we could have had that we were waiting for, that we were very patiently waiting for. He got injured twice. He got suspended. And
so I just want to confirm with Robert. Robert, do you think this is the end of CM Punk's wrestling career? This is the way it goes out. He goes out getting fired by AEW.
I think so.
Because you said there's no chance he's going back to the WWE. You quoted Vince.
Because I feel like he's burned way too many bridges over there.
I agree.
There a lot of the top stars and Triple H, they just don't like him. So yeah,
I think
all right.
There's a lot of people there that don't. That is true. So he would have to. It would have to be like a turnaround of some sorts by those people to welcome him back. So we'll see. I mean, I hope he does come back, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't because of the reasons we just said.
My guess, and I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think he'll end up back in WWE, and I think he'll accept whatever they give him, as long as it's somewhat respectable. Like, we don't know why he quit last time. I heard the rumor that he wasn't going to be WrestleMania main event, and that's why he got mad and left. You know, that's unreasonable though. If you want to be the man all the time, yeah, you're not going to be the man. But if they're going to put him in mid-card feuds against other like decent wrestlers, then I think that's okay. He should just roll with that, just so he could have a job and make some money. But I don't know, like Robert, I don't know if you said you were going to say something. I don't know exactly why he left WWE.
He went on a podcast with his well, it's not his friend anymore, but what's his name?
Colt Cabana.
Yeah, Colt Cabana. He went on Colt Cabana's podcast, and I think it was like almost an hour long explanation. Like he gave a very thorough explanation as to why he left. There was a lot of like medical issues that he was dealing with, and then WWE was like not handling it correctly. That was like one of the major reasons, but I forgot the other reasons, but like he gave a very thorough explanation as to why, and it made sense. I think you should check it out if you have time.
Yeah, it was a combination of what you just said, and I think some problems with his booking. But you know, at the end of, and I think also that he's a very confrontational person. I think it's a combination of all three things. You know, WWE does at that time, especially all those. I mean, probably even now, they have a very grueling schedule. You know, I could see how you could want to take time off, or maybe they don't want to give you time off. You know, things like that could happen. But, you know, yeah.
All right. Well, look, if anybody has anything else that you think I missed about it, or if you have any other thought about it, you can say it now or forever hold your peace, because we're never going to talk about CM Punk.
Well, let me just ask
again.
this. Is this, I mean, I said this is, a good thing for both parties. But is this? I mean, I think it's gonna be fine for Punk. He'll make do, whether he goes back to wrestling or not.
Sure.
He's gonna starve.
But it does suck for him, you know.
Sure, in a sense it does. But what about for AEW? Is this the end of them possibly being a legitimate company in your guys' eyes? I know that Kayhan usually asks the question, but let me just throw that out there.
No, yeah, that's great, bro. Go ahead. How about you, Robert? You go first. I'll go after you.
If it wasn't for the rise of MJF and his popularity, I would have said yes. But I think MJF right now is doing a lot to carry the company. So at the time being, I think they're okay. They'll be just fine, and they have other stars too that they could build. So I don't know. They definitely, the firing of CM Punk, that's definitely AEW has definitely taken a hit, but I don't think that means the end of AEW.
Yeah, right when it happened, I was like, damn, this is going to really suck for AEW. This could be I saw them losing like at least a chunk of viewership, and Collision really suffered, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. It was a weird show, but yeah, they had all that drama and everything, so that's understandable. Dynamite, I thought, picked up, and there were some positive signs. And at the pay-per-view, the fact that Danielson and Starks, they got Starks. When we're going to review these shows a little bit later, this past week's shows, Collision and Dynamite, and I saw some positive signs. I think it can work. I think it could still work, and maybe if Punk was really that much of a headache and they can just like fucking get him out of the way and focus, okay, fine. It's possible. It's possible that they could still do good work. Like the Samoa Joe stuff with MJF, it's like, yeah, life moves on. Punk is gone. Let's plug Samoa Joe in there, and he did freaking great. And the fact that I hear that Danielson is one of the creative minds or bookers or one of the guys in charge of Collision, I think that's a really good sign. Tony Khan has said, like, if anything happens to me, if I get hit by a bus, Danielson can do the job and control the show and not saying I'm hoping that'll happen, but but I think that's a good sign. Having Danielson in the company is really good. It would have been good if Punk was there too, but they still got something. Like, they got really lucky for All Out, because as we're going to see, like, Danielson kind of took one of the main event spots against Starks, and he saved their ass, because otherwise it would have been a kind of a shitty show, I think. So no, I mean, at first, Vlad, yes, I did think that. But now that I've seen a few shows, I kind of have some hope that I think we could still enjoy wrestling, personally. So that's that.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
Well, that's the CM Punk deep dive into the CM Punk firing. We're going to file that away into the archives, and we'll see if we ever talk about Punk again. I hope it's not the end, but we'll see.